Welcome back to Life of Birch. This is Birch, and I'm here with Mr. Tim, aka Del Rider on YouTube, and for some reason he's trusting me with his brand new Kawasaki ZX4RR. So we're gonna take it for a quick rip, do a first ride on this thing, and I'm super stoked. You know, it probably holds a special place in my heart because I love my small CC bikes, but this is no just average small CC bike. Although it's 400 cc's, it's actually an inline 4-cylinder that screams and revs out to 16,000 RPM. 16,000 RPM out of a 4-cylinder 400cc bike is insane. And as you can see here, he has the Kaufman's Thunder exhaust, which is twinning with my Kaufman's Thunder exhaust, and this thing sounds so damn good, so I'm stoked for you guys to hear it. But yeah, you guys know I'm not much about specs. I'm more about feelings and how the bike speaks to my soul, and I also don't know the specs on this bike, so let's hop on it without further ado and see how this thing rips. Yeah, it doesn't feel as aggressive as I was expecting it to.
No, not at all. It's just, that's what I mean. It's more kind of an intermediate between a beginner and a, you know, an expert could be happy with this thing.
Yeah. What are the power numbers on it? It's stock?
Like 53 horsepower.
To the wheels or to the crank?
That's to the wheels.
Okay.
And then it'll be like, after a tune, you can get about 75 out of it.
That's crazy. So it's like a 50% increase.
Yeah, out of a tune.
All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, see what this thing's all about. Oh yes, sounds so good. And we are off. The foot pegs, dude, I've put like hundreds of miles on my Rebel 1100 over the past day, so switching to this seating and footing position feels wild. So good, dude. All right, visor down right off the rip because it is a windy day. Dude, this sounds so damn good. Now we'll have to take a little bit easy because it is bike week here in Ocean City, Maryland. We came over the border to Mexico, of course, but in Ocean City, Maryland, it is bike week, so police are out. North, south, we'll want to go north. We're going this way across this bridge. Dude, that sounds so good. It's also going to be weird. I can't even get my words out. I'm already having so much fun on this thing. It's going to be weird getting used to how far this revs out coming from a cruiser. Dude, it's so good. Quick disclaimer, I know I already said this was filmed in Mexico, but I forgot to mention the part where all of this is CGI. So anytime that it looks like the speed limit's being broken, it's not. Isn't technology crazy? Also, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Kaufman's exhaust, not only for making this crazy sounding exhaust on the ZX4RR, which I still can't get over, but for also making the best exhaust that I've been able to find for my Rebel 1100, my Grom, and Nina's Rebel 300. If you watch the channel, you know that it's very rare for me to shout out a company, so when I do, I really believe in what they're doing, and Kaufman's is the perfect example of that. Not only have I been blown away by the sound of every single one of their exhausts that I've heard, but their quality is also unmatched. They are proudly made here in the USA. All of their exhausts come with a pre-installed baffle that's easily removable so you can tune the sound to your needs, and all of them are also customizable based on the color of the tip and the logo that you want on there. I'm also not exaggerating when I say that they have some of the best customer service I have ever experienced in my life, but don't just take my word for it. Go check out the website for yourself and see all of the 5-star reviews. There's over 180 5-star reviews just on the Rebel line alone. As you've seen, they have exhausts for your sport bike, your cruiser, your mini moto, you name it. Check out the link in the description to see if they have an exhaust for your bike. I guarantee you'll love it. And shout out to Kaufman's for sponsoring this trip for me. Back to the video. Okay, this thing is freaking awesome. Obviously, its home is not quite the highway because it is a smaller CC bike. It's more of like a back road type bike. So I want to find, oh, that's not that. In my head, I'm like, oh, maybe this is some back roads, but it's gravel. Oh my gosh, dude, I just stalled it because I forgot. It's a quick shifter, but it still needs a clutch. What a dumbass, dude. Okay, well, I thought that was a back road and it's not. Let's listen to this thing scream one more time because it's so good with the quick shifter. Oh my gosh. downshifts, dude. Oh my gosh. So now that we're going through more of like a city kind of vibe here, and it's not super windy, and I'm not doing, you know, 5 over the speed limit, we'll call it, I'm sure my audio is much better. So let me just say that this thing is so much fun. It is underpowered compared to what I was expecting. I mean, obviously it's like we were saying, only 50 something horsepower and 400 cc's, so it's not meant to be a powerhouse, but it's definitely a little bit slower than I was expecting. It's interesting though, because talking to Tim, he was saying that he feels like it'll pull kind of like nice and smooth, and then up top is where it really starts pulling and screaming. For me, I almost feel like once it hit 9,000-10,000 RPMs, I was expecting it to like kind of throw me back a little bit more, but I think it felt pretty linear. I don't know, it pulls really nice in the top RPMs, but I think the best part about having all those RPMs is just the fun of watching it rev out. If you're on a big 1000cc bike or something like that, it will scream up there, and before you realize it, you got to shift. This stays in the gears so long because it revs out that it's just fun tucking down and watching it go up and start flashing, like wanting you to shift, but knowing that you still have so much more revs left. All right, let's remember the clutch this time. But yeah, this thing is a blast. I can already tell exactly what he was saying about like big sport bike technology put into a little bike, if that makes sense. Like, it has all the rider modes and everything. We're staying in sport mode, obviously, because why would we do anything else? Definitely more aggressive seating than I've been used to on this trip, but not as aggressive as something like the ZX4RR. I always just call it a 636, so I forget the technical name. But yeah, not as aggressive as something like that, but definitely aggressive enough. And now I'm in Harley territory, brother. And of course, you know, this thing's super light and nimble. I wish that there were some like legitimate back roads around here that I could try out. I wish I knew where I was. See, like, that sounded like it was screaming, and it was up to 8,000 RPM, which should be screaming, but I'm only halfway up the rev range, you know? Such a crazy feeling. I was saying when I rode the Eliminator 450, which is actually the only other Kawasaki I've ridden, that it almost felt soulless because it was so, like, I don't know if refined is the right word, but it just felt soulless. It wasn't exciting. If anything, it feels a little smoother and soulless, unfortunately, and this is not true about this bike. This is like the definition of what puts a smile on my face, is just revving it out. And just, dude, it's so much fun. Oh my gosh, dude, the quick shifter is so good. I'm surprised that there's not a whole lot of pressure on my wrists. I mean, obviously I feel like with sport bikes you kind of like use your legs and your core to hold you up, but I feel like with sport bikes also sometimes you end up having a lot of pressure on your wrists, and that's not the case here. You can definitely tell that it's like meant to not be as aggressive as a typical super sport. And as we're stopped, it's probably good to point out I don't know the seat height on this bike, but I'm about 5'10", 5'11" on a tall day. I think I measured my inseam, and if I'm remembering correctly, it was like 34 inches from the floor to meet. Take that how you will. And I can easily flat foot this thing. A little bit of bend in my knees, no issue. The bike feels really narrow too. Obviously it probably helps that I'm coming off the Rebel 1100 all weekend, but the bike feels really narrow in between your legs. And it's interesting too. Normally you think 400 cc's and you don't think something that's good on the highway, but not only is this comfortable, but it revs out so far that it has plenty of juice up top, you know? I'm cruising at 60 in 5th gear. I could probably be in 4th cruising comfortably, and it still has plenty of passing power. I gotta be honest, for the price, for me though, I'd probably go with a 636 just because I want that power. But if you're looking for an absolute screamer that revs out to the frickin' moon, you cannot go wrong with this, man. And this exhaust sounds so good. It's such a distinct tone, you know? Now, I forget if I mentioned, I definitely showed it a little bit, but this does have a quick shifter up and down. Tim was saying that for the downshifts, you have to be totally off the throttle, I think he was saying. You can't be on the throttle and just blip it down. And then upshifts, same thing. As long as you're on the throttle, you can just kick it up and it'll shift up for you. No clutch or anything, super quick shifts, and the best part of it is not just the convenience and quickness of it, but how freaking good it sounds. I don't know, guys, I might be a sport bike boy now. Please get out of my way so I can be a proper fast boy. Let's go. Do we have an opening across the bridge? Sorry, Tim. And Tim's right down there, so you know he just heard that. Oh my god, this is fun. This thing is freaking fun. I know that this was not exactly the ideal test ride for something like this because obviously we're in a place where there's not a whole lot of back roads, which is where this thing would really shine. But, you know, when somebody says you can drive or ride my brand new ZX4RR, you don't say no. So shout out to Tim. Check him out, Del Rider on YouTube. I'll link it in the description. I keep talking about how good this exhaust sounds, and he has a full video showing the comparison between this and the Kaufman's Shorty exhaust and the Graves exhaust. And I gotta say, just from the video, I could tell that this one was the best option, and in person, it did not disappoint. This thing is so much fun. I can't say it enough. Getting this thing just revved out all the way is such a treat. Revving a small motor like this to the moon. Oh my god. Could you hear me?
Filming sucks. It's like you went by so fast.
Dude, this thing is so much fun.
Isn't it, dude? It's a freaking toy, man. It's just like...
Yeah. Shout out to Patreon members for making all of this possible. Also, shout out to Kaufman's Exhaust for sponsoring this trip for me. Should I get a sport bike? Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Love you guys. Peace.
Oh, so basic. Hope you play this. Damn, I prayed it. Nice song, and I became this. Oh, souls fake it. Paid those placements. Fuck shit. And I'm still waiting on the brighter days. Been a minute, been rough many times more. And I'm kicking rocks to a sky of gray. Praying hard, talk to me before I'm done for.